All right. Does everybody see my screen?
Yep, if you're showing ICM, we see
Yep.
it.
Okay. So let's start this. We had 8 images in the basic class for geometrics. So we'll do a quick run through. A trek through sandstone. Abstract building design. Yosemite Valley, May 2022. Bejeweled. Lights and shadows. Yeah. Old bridge angles. And Austin 7.04.22. New bridge angles. All right. So we'll go back through, and the first one, a trek through sandstone.
Yeah, I think is my image.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so I really love the color here and just the kind of, I feel like it really drew me in with the kind of the lines. My eyes were kind of going, into the image and then around to the top and then back down. And there were so many interesting lines, and I like the difference of the light areas and the shadows and kind of how I just feel like there's a lot of movement like that. I like the color. The highlights aren't blown out. That's a plus. The shadows, there's a little loss of detail in the corner of the shadows, but it still kind of works in this image, in my opinion. The sharpness, the only thing that I really could critique or maybe improve upon is I feel like the sharpness is a little bit off. It could be a little bit sharper, possibly up in that second peak area. Or even across the lines, just a little bit more sharpness might make it pop a little bit better. But overall, this is beautiful. I really enjoyed kind of looking at it.
Okay. Moving on. Abstract building and design.
That was me.
Yep.
And so I like the composition. So at first glance, it just kind of looks to be a simple geometric squares and rectangles. But upon closer examination, the shadows create just a myriad of number of triangles and other geometric shapes. So although I thought it should be cropped down from the top just a little bit to the top of the small rectangle on that top line, very minor. And the only other thing that I would have liked is that one of the blocks has some like drip to it, and I just clean that up. And otherwise, I think it's a really nice photo. I think it's quite interesting.
All right. Next. Maybe. Yosemite Valley, May 2022.
That one's mine. I think this was exposed very well, composed very well, and the cliffs are very well lit. I would have loved some clouds in the sky, or maybe shot at a different time of day to give a little more impact. And to me, it appears that the lush green hill in the front left is sharper in focus than the rest of the image. It could be like haze in the background or something, but my eye kind of goes to that left bottom hill. But this is a beautiful scene. I mean, how can you go wrong in Yosemite? That's it.
Okay. Bejeweled.
Yeah, I really like this image. What really kind of drew me in was the sharpness of the water droplets. And it just adds impact having that really blurred background and then the really sharp web. I just really love the contradiction there. The only thing I might do is remove this is really picky. It's a great image. In that bottom left corner, there's like a little bit of web that has a little bit of highlight on it. And personally, I might have taken that out just so that there's no, like, your eye's not going back to that spot. But when I look at this image, I really go right to the center and then I kind of move around. So I also like the way that the branches are kind of drawing your eye into the image as well. So great job.
Lights and shadows.
That was mine. And I really like this this photo, and it really is I like the complexity of the various geometric shapes in it. I think it would be the only distracting item in it is that black box in the middle, although it would be very difficult to get it out. That's about the only, and then up in the top left corner, and there's all along the top, there's just this little faint line, and I'd have just cropped it down that little bit, like 1/8 of an inch from the top all the way across. The photo just gives you a deserted kind of feel to it. Although it makes me wonder, I mean, I like it. I love that. But I also wonder what it would look like with people in it, just to get a feel for the difference in it. Not that that was available or not, just made me think about it. And that's about it. I just think it's pretty cool picture. My eye just keeps going all over the place, but there's a nice focus down to the back and nice leading lines that takes you back that way. Really, really nice.
Right. Old bridge angles.
That one's mine. I like the black and white treatment on this one, and it is exposed properly because this is a very difficult shot because you're shooting up against that bright sky. If it was me, I would try to lift the shadows just a little bit. And I also found that line on the right, the diagonal, was a little distracting. I don't know how you could shoot it differently. But yeah, I guess that's all I got to say.
Austin 7.04.22.
Cool. I like the tones and the geometric shape of the building. It's kind of a cool triangle in the background with all the rectangles in front of it. I think that it could be a little more impactful to maybe have just a little bit of extra space at the top. I feel like the top of the building got cropped off just a little bit, and my eyes like wanting to see a little bit more to kind of see the finish, the end of top of the building. But otherwise, I really like the tones and cool shot.
New bridge angles.
That would be me. I definitely think there's a nice, strong leading line into the photo. And again, similar, I'd like to see some of the details in the underbridge on the left-hand side. It's so dark. I would have liked to have seen it a little lightened up just a little bit, so that the tonal, and I think the difference in the tonal ranges, it just kind of needs a little bit more balance. But the subject seems to be the the railings on the right side of the bridge. And there is a little, I thought there was a distraction. I have it in my notes, but I don't see it here on the photo now. So I had commented that there was some little distraction in the bottom left corner that I might remove, but it might be that little last piece from the top. But again, nothing major.
Hey. All right, let's look at the how the judging came out. Judges' choices. All right. For basic, we had 2 images, first and second. And second place goes to Arlie Pfeiffer for a trek through sandstone. Yay.
Thanks.
And first place goes to Delaney Van, Lights and Shadows. Very well done. People's choice. All right, 3 images for people's choice. People's choice bronze, Arlie Pfeiffer, Bejeweled. Very cool. Very cool. People's choice silver, Judy Ogren, Austin 7.04.22. I think we might see that building again later. And the gold medal goes to Delaney Van, Lights and Shadows. Well deserved. Okay. Moving on to intermediate. All right. 13 images. 1. Yep. Wait, let's go back. Pergola. Circular doorway. Heaven's door. We need, where's the stairway? Heavy hexagons. Little Pikachu. Nat Geo. Geometry Interruptus. One of One. Infinite Journey. No Smoke Today. Robots in Disguise. The Geometry of Curves. Fibonacci Trapped in a Parallelogram Universe. Sunlit. All right. Go back through them. All right. First one up, pergola.
That's me. I love the geometric patterns and the lighting on this. It's a fun kind of abstract image. In my opinion, an image like this needs to be sharp all the way through, and the top, well, I guess what, the second from the top little rung is the only thing that I see is like super sharp. And to me, if you're going to do abstract like that, more needs to be in focus at least. And I find the drips from the stain or whatever that is to be very distracting. My eye wants to go right there. I think that could be cleaned up super easy in post. But I love the color of this. It's very, very cool and fun.
Okay. Circular doorway.
So I think it's really cool that the photographer captured this subject. Looks like not an easy thing to capture out in nature. Pretty cool. Tried my hand at some bird photography recently and realized it's not as easy as it looks. So good job finding a good subject. I feel like it might be, they might have zoomed in a bit to crop this way, and the bird looks slightly out of focus to me. Like I'd like to see it just a little bit sharper, a little more enhanced in that area, but I love the color on the bird's, on its head, and it's just a cool capture. Moving on.
Heaven's Door.
That's me. Well, I think the title's very appropriate, and the geometric shapes are certainly clearly visible. And of course, when you think about it, there's doesn't seem to be any doorknobs, so might be difficult to get in or out into heaven, just as a remark. And I really like the color of the doors. I think they're, it's kind of very calming. The whole picture is, and it does make the viewer want to open the doors and see what heaven might look like. I did wonder if this was a composite picture. I don't usually do them, and I'm just wondering. I don't think it takes away at all from the total aspect of the picture, which I really like. And if I had to make one comment, I think that I might just have brightened up the panels in the door toward the bottom just slightly, but again, not a huge comment. Really nice. I love the sky and the clouds in the back room, and the color. The blue is not too intense. Really nice.
Okay. Next one, heavy hexagons.
That one's mine too. I love the lighting on these rock formations or whatever. It's really pretty. And it's very interesting to look at. I'd love to know where this is. I'm guessing this is natural formation. I love the color range is nice with those little subtle pops of the green grass it looks cool with it. And I love how the hexagons fill the entire frame. I just would love to know where it is because it's cool. That looks like it's it.
Okay. Little Pikachu, Pikahoo, Piku.
I really like the composition and perspective of this image, from like coming from higher up looking down. It just kind of adds a different perspective, which I enjoy. If I were to retouch this image, I would probably take this saturation down on the grass area just a little bit. And a few of the glass pieces are kind of glowing a little bit too much, like they're kind of blown out a little bit. There's just a few triangles that I feel like are a little out of focus, or they're just a little too bright. So I just toned that down a little bit, and I think then the focus would be more on the subject. But overall, it's pretty interesting.
Nat Geo.
That's mine. Oops, let me just, one piece of paper, sorry. I think it's a creative vision of the theme, and the lines and the shapes interpret the theme. And I like that the entire leaf is in focus, and which adds to the strength of the photo. I would probably, if it had been mine, I might have cropped in from the sides just a little bit more to try, or from one side just to get it a little out of center. And I might have tried to take, I find some of the, I see it's a natural piece of nature, but there are some distracting lines and forms in there that I might have tried to take out. But it certainly was a creative approach to the subject matter.
Geometry Interruptus. Cheryl Callen. Okay. Infinite Journey.
Sorry, I'm on.
Do you want to go back? I think Cheryl was on mute before. There we
No,
go.
I was on mute. This was not one I was supposed to talk about. My third one is later on in this.
Okay. Infinite Journey.
This is mine. So I love the color and the kind of contrast between the dark sky and the bright colors. So it's really interesting. I like the shapes and the kind of that your eyes being led into the image. To me, it's just, I like how it's a little bit off-centered, but I would almost want to see it a little more off-centered or centered. Not really sure how to explain that. I feel like it's like just slightly off-centered to the point to where the horizontal line just is slightly off, but it's almost perfect. So my eye is wanting it to either go perfect or to be a little bit more angled. So yeah, but I do like the color and pretty cool shot.
No Smoke Today.
That's mine. And I do like the title of the piece, and I think it's important to the piece. And the simplicity of the piece makes the viewer really kind of ponder it for a little while and really look at it a little bit more closely. I understand that, a time that this is an older exhaust fan, but I probably would have darkened the black just a little bit and brightened the silver, just to see those contrasts in the color a little bit and make it stand out just a little bit more. And because the colors seem just a little bit dull, which I know would happen over time, but I just think it would help the viewer see it a little better. And I think too that, I like the red behind it, and, I don't know whether I'd have, and it's very centered. So I think it needed to be, I don't think it would have as much impact if it was cropped on either side. So I just think it was kind of an out of the box view of the theme. So good job.
Robots in disguise. Okay. The geometry of curves.
Let's see. So this one was mine. It's an interesting concept and overall a nicely executed composition. Let's see. I thought it might be interesting to see a little bit more shadows, kind of to define her curves a little bit more contrast in the light and darker parts of this image. The black areas are nice and dark, but just to see kind of some shadows would be interesting, maybe to try to put the light at a different spot and just see kind of what you could create. But yeah, there's a lot of shapes here, and was an interesting take on the assignment.
Hey. Fibonacci trapped in a parallelogram universe.
This is mine, and I really think that the photographer got creative with theme, and of course I had to look up the word Fibonacci, and then of course it just made a lot of sense. And I think the tonal quality of the photo is really well done, and I like the fact that the chair is in color and the rest of the photo is in blacks, whites, and grays. It just adds a strength to the photo, and I just think this is a really well done photo. I just wonder, as a personal aside, whether the photographer had to use whether this was the parallelogram was created post or whether it was shot that way. You don't see it too often, and it's just an interest question, but I think this is a really nice photo.
Sunlit.
That one's mine. I love the complementary colors in this, where you got the blue sky, the blue water, and then you've got that golden sun, and was taken perfect to me because it just lights up the pillars. So that just adds to the, it just works well for the theme. Yeah, I guess that's it. The curves. What did I say? The curves. The curve of the bridge and the shape of the pillars works well for the theme. Yeah.
Okay. All right, let's see what the judges' choices were. All right, 5 images. Honorable mention, Nick Grossman, Infinite Journey. Congratulations, Nick. I know he's up in Alaska taking pictures of the aurora.
Oh,
Another honorable mention, Michael Knox, Pergola. Congratulations, Michael. 3rd place, Jim McDaniel, Heavy Hexagons. Yeah, I'm curious where this was taken to. I know that's lava flow.
It's
I've seen this in, yeah.
basalt. Yeah,
It's where?
it's basalt.
Okay.
And which is lava that has kind of bulged upward through the crust, left a big dome, and depending on how fast it cools, it will leave these hexagonal columns. Seen them in Iceland. I think they have them at Devil's Post Pile National Monument. It's a
Yeah.
place, so
Yellowstone.
they're really cool looking.
Very cool.
Second place, Donna Smith, Heaven's Door. Yay, Donna. Donna's getting creative.
And it's not a composite.
Oh, thank you.
And that was an ironworks sculpture place here in Jonestown, and it's outside, so it's pretty cool.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And first place, William Ling, Fibonacci Trapped in a Parallelogram Universe. You want to talk about it?
Yeah, that's my front foyer, and I did shoot it totally squared out, but I needed something striking, so I just in Lightroom decided to tweak the angles a little bit. It really wasn't gray and color. It's all the color. That's really what my foyer looks like. But I noticed the Fibonacci and the chair, and then the straight lines. So I was trying to think of a good name, and there it is. That's what my house looks like.
All right.
Very nice.
People's choice. All right. People's choice bronze. Donna Smith, Heaven's Door. Go Donna. Silver, William Ling, Fibonacci Trapped in a Parallelogram Universe. And gold goes to Donna Smith, Sunlit. You go, Donna. All right. So let's go on over to the advanced. Had 10 advanced, and we'll go through them. All right, Windows. Mountains of Fibonacci. Nothing on the rocks. Warp speed. Dancing light. Radar evading geometrics. Made for shade. Energy grid. Building curves and lines. Colored curves. All right. So let's look at the which one? I think it's that one. All right. I got the full versions. of the critiques. So you need me to read more, I'll read more. Let's see, windows. I find this to be very unusual and interesting composite that I cannot quite figure out. I believe it is a floor or a wall tile with 3 shop windows superimposed on it. I truly find this image intriguing. For me, it does not matter how this was accomplished. What does matter to me is the immediate impact of the geometrics. The left to right diamonds are opposed to the shape in the background, which I believe supplies a needed tension to offset windows that are identical in shape. I think this is very effective as a monochrome, for colors would distract from the background. As a monochrome, the shadows seem to become a stabilizing factor, holding the shapes on a track. I cannot find a floor here. I did experiment in Photoshop by making the upper window filled with dark gray, middle with the lightest color in the floor, and the left shape with light gray. I believe it added even more impact to the image and removed the slight distraction of the contents of the window. Okay. Here we go. Mountains of Fibonacci. I believe this is a wonderful botanical image of a Romanesco plant with the additional beetle crossing a bud. I feel that although these florets do form the pattern of Fibonacci curves, the impression is not really one of shapes forming a pattern in the sense of geometrics, which I think should be more direct and intense. This image, if it were in a botanical category, would at least elicit an 89 from me. It could not be used in nature though, because this is a cultivated plant. I think it is a wonderful image for a PIDC, botanical or close-up entry. Okay. Nothing on the rocks. I found this to be a puzzler. I always study an image before I read the title, and I could not figure out what this was, but the title says it all, and I was very surprised. I think this is extremely creative and really works for geometrics, which is the use of shapes to create a pattern. I feel that the placement of the glass in the dead center was imperative to the effectiveness of the impact. The square versus round gives me the tension I need for the sameness of the bubbles and the glass that surround the center. I find the touch of blue and the wood grain in the background to be a bit distracting, but the overall brown tones is, for me, a soothing use of color. I believe this image fulfilled the challenge and is something I've never seen before. Very nice. I did play with removing the blue and texture in Photoshop. I feel it made the subject even more effective. All right. Next. Warp speed. I believe this must be a view looking up into the sky from below an architectural building feature. In my mind, the first impact feels like I am viewing a stellar burnout only in monochrome. I feel the geometrics of the image are wonderful in that the shapes really do come together to form a pattern. For me, the shape itself is highlighted by the surrounding dark bands reaching up toward it. They feel strong to me and add support to the star. I find the off-center presentation of the star enhances the composition. I might suggest that the light coming around the star to be toned down a lot. It seems to steal the show from the shape, which is the main geometric feature here. And perhaps I would have made this complete monochrome by turning off the blue. Okay. Dancing light. I do not know if this is a live made lightgram or is computer generated, but in my opinion, it is spectacular. I feel the choice of tomato red as the main color enhances the overall vibrance of the image. I think the addition of powder blue shading to white at the intersections is genius, as it supplies an interest point top and bottom. As to the geometrics aspect, for me, this one fills the bill because by definition, geometrics demands using shapes to form a pattern. Here I find the obvious circle shape tracing a symmetrical pattern outward, and yet it appears to be bent into a tube in the blue-white lines. I think the immediate impact is enhanced by the stark blackness of the background. For me, this is a story of life in a fast-moving, laser-like universe. I find this one very creative. All right, radar evading geometrics. I found that the geometrics element here was stretched a long way. True, the various parts of the plane are geometric, the wings are triangles, the nose is a triangle, etc. But the idea of geometrics is that various shapes create a pattern, which I don't see here. Interesting. I believe that the lighting on this plane is very soft, beautiful. I might suggest that the plane be placed in a moody, stormy cloud bank instead of a happy pink and blue sky. It would possibly point out the capabilities of the plane as a weapon. Check the Photoshop image I sent you. See what you think. All right. Made for shade. Wow, I looked at this for a long time and could not turn away. It fascinated me. It took a long time to figure out what this was until I noticed the grading behind the main grid. I wish that the left-right horizons were on the same plane. I think this is a true example of continuous geometrics. The impact seems to me to mainly be in the sameness of the design on top versus the dots on the bottom. I do not find the light in the background distracting, but think it adds another element to the work, indicating that there is something more just outside. I made a few minor changes in Photoshop to add a little extra interest and to up the impact a tiny bit. See what you think. All right. Building curves and lines. I find this to be a very powerful building rendering with a strong leading line upward, which
Yeah.
adds,
Steve, we got the wrong image up.
energy grid.
Yeah.
I find this to be a very nice lightgram filled with many things to look at. For me, the impact lies mainly in the color, especially with the red center and white bands highlighting that center. I think the purple for the rest of the lines cools the center down to just the right point. I believe the placement of the nucleus in dead center would not normally work, but here it does because of the two purple lobes extending on the diagonal, and especially because they have the other light purple lobe above the nucleus, which appears to pull the bands together. I think the final interest point is the grid effect of the darkest bands together. I think the final, which maintains the interest, but it is definitely very different from the other bands. I would love to know how this was done. I find it to be fascinating, creative, and beautifully composed image. All right. Building curves and lines. I find this to be a very powerful building rendering with a strong leading line upward, which adds the immediate impact. I think the light on the left wall and echoed on the larger building are very well done. Are they Photoshop renderings? I believe there is an eerie similarity between the set of 4 floors and the next set of 4 floors. They look like they were cloned up. If this is the case, I recommend trying to change something on each level to eliminate that look of sameness. I find the exposure in this image to be spot on with all the proper blacks, whites, and grays. I do sense a story of corporate power and grandeur here. I think the sky, however, is a distractor to the image. I worked this shop in Photoshop and deleted the sky, and I feel that the building stands out more without it. All right. Colored curves. I think this is strong impact of colors and leading lines make this a beauty. I find the shading of the curves to be just right to lead the eye down the curves. For me, the geometrics aspect is lacking because these are not really shapes so much as lines, which defeats the definition of geometrics. I believe I would rate this very highly in a PIDC competition. All right. After listening to me ramble, let's look at judge's choice. All right. Third place, Gene Thomas, Energy Grid. Yay, Gene.
Is Gene here?
Yeah, yes, I'm here.
Can you tell us how you did that or where you found that?
Well, she called it a light gram, so I don't know what a light gram is, other than what I did was I hung a flashlight from the ceiling and started spinning it around, and the camera was on the floor.
Huh,
So
it's awesome.
it is a composite. So the bit in the middle that she calls the nucleus was like a triple exposure with different colored flashlights.
Okay.
And then the one that goes diagonal, I thought that was the prettiest part of the composition. So when I put those two together, I'm like, this is still a little bit too plain. And then I added the grid and that other lobe, and then it was just like, oh, that's what I want. So it was a building type of a process.
Well, you are a true artiste.
Yes.
Well, it was fun.
It's so much better to hear how you created the picture, though. I mean, it really makes it stand out even more to me.
Yeah, I just didn't know that I could get this far with a flashlight hanging from the ceiling.
Very nice, really nice.
All right. Second place, Mark Lasad, Windows.
Nicely done, Mark.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So is it a composite?
No, it's not a composite, just some windows downtown
Okay.
on a photo walk and a little tonal enhancement, but it's that's how it, well, it's what it was.
So that's not a composite. Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's just a wall. You know, I juiced up the contrast on the detail on the bricks.
Sure.
But everything was as you see it.
I kind of disagree with her about shading in the windows because I kind of like the stuff inside of the windows. It may be add a little chaos to the photo, but
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And what creates the shadows? The shadow bands across are another part of the pattern that is so cool.
I think it's just a part of the building next to us, and I can't remember it, to be honest, but it's something outside of the frame, obviously. And I don't know if there were slats above. There may have been slats above it.
And
I don't remember.
And whereabouts was it taken? And was there what kind of lens were you using? And
It's
how much
downtown Austin, and I'm pretty sure it was with 24-105 lens.
Somewhere in Austin, then.
Yeah, downtown Austin. Not too far from the river.
And first place, Cheryl Callen, Dancing Light.
I want to hear about this one too.
Well, the funny thing is it's just like jeans. The camera's on the floor facing up at a flashlight. If you look up like spirograph photography,
Yeah.
it's so much fun.
I can see that.
But it was for me, it was a big trial and error. I don't know about Gene, but it was the weight of the flashlight, the height from your camera, till I got what I wanted. It was quite the physics experiment, maybe? I don't know.
Well,
Oh, well worth it.
But it did
Yeah.
not come easy for me.
very cool.
Thanks.
Was it part of an assignment or other than our club theme, or were these pictures you took because of the contest theme?
That was a picture I took for Geometrics theme.
Well done.
Very well
Thanks.
done.
Was that a LED flashlight?
Yes.
How long exposure is that?
I don't know. I was doing it on bulb because I was doing, I started out doing, 15 seconds, 30 seconds. And then I wasn't just getting the movement that I wanted. So I went to bulb, and if I had to guess, I would say it's in the 90s-ish.
Okay. I was just curious, but that's cool.
Well worth the effort.
Go to People's Choice. Let's see what the people have to say. All right. Bronze goes to Gene Thomas, Mountains of Fibonacci.
Yeah, what is that? It is a close up, and it's not. It looks like on the right there's a vertical line. I was curious about that. That was just.
I guess that's just coincidental. I noticed it too, but there was nothing intentional about it. But yeah, that's I guess they call it a Braca flower. So it's some type of hybrid between a broccoli and a cauliflower.
Were you at the grocery store? And did they think it was weird?
With its own bug on it.
Well, the funny thing is, I had to call around these grocery stores and nobody knew what I was talking about. And I'd always want to do one of these photos of the Braca flower. And, I call a couple of places, I go there and they didn't know what it was. And I go there and there wasn't one. And finally, I found one that actually had one and knew what they were talking about. So I brought it home. I'm like, okay. And while I'm taking pictures, this doggone bug starts crawling from out of it. And I'm thinking to myself, no, this can't be for real. I'm like, I'm gonna take it back. I'm taking the Braca flower back.
So is that one Braca flower, or is it individual?
Well, it's a section of Braca flower. I guess it's the same size it's about the same size as the head of cauliflower.
Oh.
And then what you're seeing is probably maybe a quarter of it.
Okay.
But the reason that it's geometric is it has these geometric spirals plus the Fibonacci. Each of those parts looks like all of the other bigger parts, like ad infinitum.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I disagreed with her assessment that this didn't fit the theme. I thought it totally did.
Well, it's a bit of a stretch because it's not traditional geometry. So that's why it's a bit of a slant.
Or like fractal geometry.
Yeah.
And
It's
I
still
think
geometry, but not your typical.
the bug enhances it. I'd accuse you of putting it there with Photoshop, but he said it wasn't.
There's a lot of
What
protein
lens
with your
did you
veggies.
use? What lens did you use, Jean?
I believe that is my 100 macro lens.
The bug makes it nature photography.
Well, no, she said it wouldn't be nature photography because it's
Cultivated.
not grown in nature. All right. Let's see who got silver. Mark Lasad, made for
Oh.
shade.
That is fabulous.
Yeah.
Once I realized what it was, it just blew me away.
Hey. And the gold goes to, hey, that's me. Building curves and lines. Apparently she didn't like my clouds in there. I was thinking about just doing it all black, but I don't know.
And you didn't Photoshop that building together?
No, I didn't Photoshop that building together. That's the building downtown.
I know, I was just kidding you.
Yeah, I know.
And the lighting, was that natural as well?
The lighting,
Yes. The lighting of the
no.
stripes. You
No,
added,
I enhanced that a little bit. Just use some in
Radio
Lightroom.
filter.
Oh yeah, radial filters. I know Mark knows how this is done. This is an old Scott Kelby trick.
I think it worked perfectly.
Yeah.
You know, you nailed it. I really like it a lot.
Yeah.
And I like the clouds too. I don't care what she said.
But
Yeah. That's a matter of personal taste, but
Yeah.
you know, I think the goal, at least for me, when you do this kind of image, is to get that sharp detail that Steve got here.
Yeah.
And the great contrast, you know, the tonal range, nailed it. I think it's just a great image. Well,
yeah, even
it
though
helps to use an interesting subject.
yeah. I know we were freezing our butts off when
Where was this?
I was downtown.
Yeah.
What are that bridge or whatever. We were doing something with Josh,
Okay.
doing panoramas of downtown, and I just happened to snap a few shots of this building at the time. But
Well done.
So it's a telephoto or a cropped wide.
no, it was a 24 to, I think it was my 24 to 105.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, I did crop in a little bit to take out some of the other distracting buildings close by just to isolate it. But
Very responsive to the theme. Terrific.
yeah, that was like something I just came across. I was like, hey, I'll throw this in, see if it works. My plane didn't. I mean, that was full of geometric shapes, all the panels and everything that go into making it. But anyway, all right. So that's it for tonight. Join us next month for open theme. So make sure you go out and shoot something open,
Yeah.
open range, open sky.
Open door.
I can just shoot right outside my tent window here.
Yeah.
And I don't believe we have a speaker for the third Thursday. If am I wrong, someone could correct me. But that means we have an opening and we really need to have someone step up, maybe be our speaker on the third Thursday. Anybody want to share? Be a speaker? Contact one of our officers, myself, Ed, Bill Bunt, Gary Hook.
Okay.
We really would appreciate it.
I got a bunch lined up, but I can't get them that quick. I met a incredible aurora photographer up in the Yukon, and he said he would do a talk for us on taking pictures of the northern lights and stuff. So I'm going to line that up probably for around the beginning of the year.
Cool.
I thought Bill had somebody.
If he does, he hasn't told me.
Okay. All right. So
Well,
anyway,
thanks to the judges again. You
Yep.
guys did a great job.
Yeah, stop sharing the screen.
oh, come on.
Oh, you want to see those crops or, I mean, those edits she made?
Yeah, you want to share them?
Yeah, let's see
Stop
if I
sharing.
can, let me see if I can find that.
No, I want to stop sharing. Stop.
Okay.
There we go. Let's hit stop sharing.
Okay, let me see if I can, oops.
And we have judges lined up for next month.
Yeah, well, I need one more. I need one for next month and one for the month after that.
I
So,
think you already got me down for, right?
yeah,
Is that next month? Okay.
I think,
I think Dave was raising his hand over there.
I got a lot on my hands right now. I got a friend dying of cancer I'm dealing with.
okay,
Sorry.
no problem.
I'd like to do it at some point.
Let's see. Next month, I've got Steve and Roy Niederdick, and November, I have Gary Hook and Patrick St. Sin. So one for each month would be perfect. So send me an email, let me know what, if you're willing to take another shot. Remember, there's a raffle for a $100 gift certificate at the end of the year, and you get an entry for each time you judge. So there is some potential payback. Let's see here. Let me see if I can. No, that's not what I want.
Yeah, I've got something to bring up quick, Mark.
Sure.
I've been investigating Bosque del Apache again this year, and there's a lot of people in the club that go. It turns out they've got a corn crop failure there right now due to some unanticipated soil condition. I've got a friend that lives there that's a pretty accomplished photographer. So he's recommending if anybody wants to go, probably go before early December. I know a lot of people go after Thanksgiving all the way into the middle of December, but he said he would recommend earlier is better considering what's going on.
I think it's
Okay.
called no water at all.
Well, no, he's not worried about the water because they pump those ponds full before the birds get there.
Oh, do they?
Yeah,
Well,
they do. Yeah, they weren't full last year, but they were good enough. But they were having problems with that corn crop that they feed on. They have wild corn that they grow there on purpose for the birds, and that's an issue.
And where is that at again?
Bosque del Apache in Socorro, New Mexico. It's where the sandhill cranes and the snow geese go, and I've been 3 or 4 times now in the last 4 years. It's pretty incredible.
I saw some sandhill.
Sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I saw some sandhill cranes headed this way.
Boy. I guess I didn't send those pictures to you. Let me see if I can find them here.
And the big attraction is when about 50 or 60,000 snow geese all take off at once. They call that a blast off, and it only happens about 1 out of maybe 5 or 1 out of 8 times you're freezing out there. And Stephen and I were there with Jim and others, and it was like 17 degrees. We thought we were going to die. You got to be there by an hour before dawn.
Share my screen here. Can you see my screen?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay, so these are the edits that the judge was suggesting. So this is my window shot and just taking out the distraction of the interiors.
That
No.
sucks.
That sucks.
That sucks.
Yeah, I mean, I worried about them being, the interiors being distracting, but I think they look better than this too.
I think she just simplified this without taking out all that detail.
Yeah. This one, I think is probably.
She took out the blue.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And darken the background.
She got rid of the texture. There was like
Yeah.
a wood texture.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of like the original better too myself. But you know, these are obviously all personal things that we all think about differently.
Yep.
It's kind of nice she took the time to do that, though.
What did she do here? She
took
Added
she
this
took out the
black-
pattern, I
the
think.
block. Yeah, she blocked out parts of the pattern in geometric shapes. I don't like it.
That's really creative.
Yeah.
Game or something.
And she had to try to match up the shadows with it.
Yeah.
Interesting process. Okay. There's without the clouds. I think it gets too dark at the top though, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I could have gone either way.
Yeah. Well, I don't think the clouds made it a lesser picture.
Yeah.
I know, but it kind of stops the building from going out of the picture.
Yeah.
So I kind of like the clouds myself.
Yeah.
You know what you needed, Stephen, was a jet flying over.
Yeah. With some triangles.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
So she
She
darkened
added
up
some
the
more
clouds a
clouds.
little bit.
Yeah.
Well, they're almost ominous, not quite. And that's that.
She
Okay.
changed the color of the rocket to,
Is she?
yeah, she made it a gold color as opposed to the sort of gunmetal gray that was the original.
Yeah. I think she just warmed it up
I think she
underneath.
warmed it up.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
I don't like it.
All right. Well,
All righty, guys. Have a good evening.
okay. Y'all take care. Thank you all for
All right.
attending. And we'll see you next time around.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Everybody.